The signal. The coffee had grown cold in Commander Eliza Chen's mug, but she barely noticed. For the past 72 hours, she had been fixated on the irregular pattern flickering across her monitor at Deep Space Listening Station Omega. Located on the far side of the moon, the station represented humanity's most advanced effort to search for signals from beyond our solar system. Most days, the job involved monitoring routine transmissions from Earth's colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter. Nothing remarkable ever happened here. Until now. "Dr. Reynolds, I need you to look at this," Chen called out, her voice echoing through the station's quiet monitoring bay. "The pattern is repeating, but with subtle variations. This isn't random cosmic noise." Reynolds, the station's senior astrophysicist, looked up from his terminal with the exhausted expression of someone who had heard similar claims before. "Commander, we've been through this. Pulsars can produce seemingly regular patterns that—" "Not like this," Chen interrupted, gesturing at her screen. "Look at the mathematical sequence. Prime numbers, followed by what appears to be a pictographic representation building in complexity. This is intentional communication." Reynolds sighed but moved to her station. As his eyes scanned the data, his expression shifted from skepticism to curiosity, and finally to stunned recognition. "My God," he whispered, "where is this coming from?" "That's the most interesting part," Chen replied, pulling up a star chart. "It's originating from the Proxima Centauri system, our closest stellar neighbor." For the next 2 weeks, Chen's team worked around the clock, refining their equipment to capture more of the signal. They developed new algorithms to filter out background noise and enhance the repeating patterns. With each passing day, the evidence became more compelling. Someone, or something, was reaching out to Earth. "We need to inform Global Space Command," Reynolds insisted during their daily briefing. "This is beyond our authority." Chen nodded reluctantly. She knew what would happen. The bureaucrats would take over, classify everything, and progress would grind to a halt. But protocol was protocol. Send the preliminary findings. Mark it urgent. The response from Earth came faster than expected. Within hours, a priority transmission arrived from General Harris at Global Space Command. "Commander Chen, your findings have been reviewed and categorized as an anomalous stellar event. Continue monitoring but reclassify as low priority. No further action required at this time." Chen stared at the message in disbelief. "They're dismissing it," she told her team. "They think it's just background radiation." "They're afraid," said Dr. Amara Okafor, their xenolinguist who had been attempting to decode the message. "Afraid of what it means if this is real." Chen made a decision that would change the course of human history. "Keep working," she ordered. "And Dr. Okafor, what progress have you made with translation?" Okafor's eyes lit up. "The signal establishes mathematical principles first, then builds a more complex symbolic language. I believe it's a blueprint of sorts." And she hesitated. "I think it's a distress call." That night, Chen couldn't sleep. The implications weighed heavily on her mind. If Okafor was right, an intelligent civilization was asking for help, and Earth was ignoring them. She made her way to the communications bay and recorded a message to her old friend, Dr. Sanjay Kapoor, who ran the prestigious Berkeley SETI Institute. "Sanjay, what I'm about to share with you must remain between us for now. I've discovered something extraordinary, and I need your help." She attached the raw signal data, Okafor's preliminary translations, and her team's analysis. Before she could reconsider, she hit send. 72 hours later, her personal console chimed with a priority message. Sanjay's face appeared, his expression a mixture of awe and concern. "Eliza, I've confirmed your findings. This is unquestionably an artificial signal, and my team agrees with your assessment that it's a distress call. But there's more." He leaned closer to the camera. "The mathematical models suggest the technology to create this signal is centuries beyond our own. Whoever sent this is in serious trouble, and they've specifically targeted Earth. They're asking for our help." "Why us?" Chen asked. "We're barely a spacefaring species. Sanjay's expression turned thoughtful. That's the question my team has been wrestling with. The message contains detailed observations of Earth, our broadcasts, our conflicts, our responses to disasters. They've been watching us, Eliza, and they see something in humanity that they believe makes us uniquely qualified to help them. Global Command has already dismissed the signal, Chen replied, frustration evident in her voice. Then we go around them, Sanjay said decisively. I'm sending you a secure communication protocol. Use it to transmit everything to me. I have contacts in the scientific community and the private sector. If official channels won't listen, we'll find someone who will. Over the next week, Chen and her team worked in secret, continuing their official duties while dedicating their off hours to refining their analysis of the signal. Dr. Okafor made a breakthrough that sent shockwaves through the small group. It's not just a call for help, she announced during their clandestine meeting. It's specifically a warning about something they call the harvesters. From what I can interpret, they're a predatory species that moves from system to system, consuming resources and genetic material. Like interstellar locusts, Reynolds murmured. And the civilization sending the message? Chen asked. They call themselves the Astrali, Okafor replied. Their message includes coordinates and technical specifications, technology they believe we can use to reach them. That's impossible, Reynolds objected. Even with our most advanced propulsion systems, it would take decades to reach another star system. Not according to this, Okafor said, displaying a complex series of equations on her tablet. The Astrali have included designs for what appears to be a form of faster-than-light travel. They're giving us the technology we need to help them. Chen stared at the equations. Why us? She repeated. Out of all the species in the galaxy, why reach out to humans? Dr. Okafor's expression softened. The message addresses that specifically. They've observed our history, our broadcasts. They note how humans consistently risk their own safety to help strangers during disasters. How we send aid across the world to people we've never met. How individuals will run into burning buildings or dive into raging waters to save others. She paused. They believe our capacity for altruism toward strangers is unusual in the galaxy. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Reynolds was the first to speak. So an advanced alien civilization is being hunted to extinction, and they're calling Earth for help because they think we're the galaxy's good Samaritans. That appears to be the case, Okafor confirmed. Chen made a decision. Send everything to Sanjay. Tell him to go public. The governments of Earth may be paralyzed by fear and bureaucracy, but the people deserve to know. 48 hours later, the signal data, translations, and analysis appeared simultaneously on scientific forums, social media platforms, and news outlets worldwide. Global Space Command issued immediate takedown notices, but it was too late. The information spread like wildfire. Chen watched from Omega Station as protests formed outside government buildings across the planet. Signs in dozens of languages bore the same message. Answer the KL. Her console chimed with an incoming transmission. It was Sanjay, his face alight with excitement. Eliza, something extraordinary is happening. Elon Chen from Celestial Industries just announced he's dedicating his entire corporate fleet to building an interstellar vessel using the Astrali specifications. Other tech giants are joining him. It's happening without government approval. Chen felt a weight lift from her shoulders. They can't ignore this anymore. Her words proved prophetic. Within hours, a priority message arrived from Global Space Command. General Harris himself appeared on screen, his expression stern but resigned. Commander Chen, you are hereby ordered to return to Earth immediately for a special United Nations session regarding the Proxima Centauri signal. Your expertise is required. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Understood, General. I'll prepare for immediate departure. As she packed her research materials, Dr. Okafor approached with one final discovery. Commander, I've completed the last section of the translation. The Astrali end their message with these words: We have watched humanity rise from its cradle. Now we ask if you will help us survive to see our next dawn." Chen nodded solemnly. "Tell them we're on our way." The response. The United Nations General Assembly had never been so crowded. Representatives from every nation packed the chamber, while outside, thousands gathered in the plaza, watching on massive screens. Commander Eliza Chen stood at the podium, acutely aware that her words would be broadcast to billions around the world. "The Astrali signal is authentic," she stated, her voice steady despite her nerves. "It is a distress call from an advanced civilization facing extinction at the hands of a species they call harvesters. They have provided us with technological specifications that would allow us to reach their system and offer assistance." The chamber erupted in voices. The Secretary General raised his hands for silence. "Commander Chen, why would these Astrali reach out to us?" "By your own admission, their technology far surpasses our own," he asked. Chen had anticipated this question. "The Astrali have been monitoring our broadcasts for decades. They've observed how humans respond to crisis, our willingness to help strangers without expectation of reward. This trait, which we take for granted, appears to be rare in the galaxy. Or this could be a trap," the Russian representative countered. "A lure to reveal our location or to steal our resources." "They already know our location," Chen replied calmly. "They've been watching us. And as for resources, the technological information they've already shared is worth more than anything they could take from us." Dr. Sanjay Kapoor joined her at the podium. "Ladies and gentlemen, I've had my team analyze the propulsion system the Astrali have shared. It's a form of space-time manipulation that makes interstellar travel possible within weeks rather than centuries. This alone represents the greatest scientific advancement in human history. Even if we wanted to help," the Chinese ambassador interjected, "constructing such a vessel would take decades and resources no single nation possesses." At that moment, the doors to the chamber opened. Elon Chen, founder of Celestial Industries and the world's wealthiest individual, strode confidently down the aisle. "With respect, Ambassador, you're incorrect," Chen stated, his voice carrying throughout the chamber. "I've consulted with my engineering teams. Using the Astrali specifications, we can convert the International Space Station Unity into an interstellar vessel within 6 months. My company is prepared to contribute the necessary resources." Murmurs filled the room as Chen continued. "But this shouldn't be a private enterprise. This should be humanity's response. All of us united. I'm offering Celestials resources, but I ask that all nations contribute. This is our moment to prove we are the species the Astrali believe us to be." What followed was unprecedented. Lifelong rivals India and Pakistan offered their top engineers. The European Space Agency committed their launch facilities. Russia and China pledged their aerospace manufacturing capabilities. Even nations with limited space programs contributed resources, scientists, or raw materials. The Unity Interstellar Project was born. Commander Chen was appointed mission director, overseeing the transformation of humanity's orbiting laboratory into its first interstellar vessel. The Astrali specifications proved revolutionary. Traditional engines were replaced with the space-time manipulation drive. Hull materials were reinforced with new alloys derived from the alien designs. Not everyone supported the mission. Religious extremists protested what they viewed as unholy contact with extraterrestrials. Isolationists warned of exposing Earth to unknown threats. Military leaders quietly prepared defense systems, unconvinced of the Astrali's benevolent intentions. But the world's imagination had been captured. Children drew pictures of the Unity and the mysterious Astrali. Universities created new departments dedicated to xenolinguistics and interstellar diplomacy. Former enemies found themselves working side by side, united by a purpose that transcended borders. 3 months into the project, Chen stood in the newly constructed Mission Control Center in Geneva, addressing the international team. "We face challenges unlike any humanity has encountered," she acknowledged. "We're developing technology we barely understand. We're preparing to meet a species we know only through their messages. and we may face hostilities from these harvesters. She paused, looking at the diverse faces before her. But in responding to this call, we've already achieved something remarkable. Look around you. Scientists from nations that were once enemies now share breakthroughs freely. Resources flow across borders without hesitation. We've set aside our differences because something more important calls us to action. 6 months to the day after the UN assembly, the Unity was ready. The vessel barely resembled its former self. The Astrali drive system glowed with a soft blue light at its core. Advanced communication systems, medical facilities, and even rudimentary defensive capabilities had been integrated into its design. The crew selection had been another unprecedented exercise in cooperation. 200 individuals from 47 nations had been chosen. Scientists, engineers, medical personnel, and a small security contingent. Commander Chen would lead the mission, with Dr. Okafor serving as Chief Communications Officer. On the day of departure, billions watched as the Unity prepared to activate its drive system. In mission control, tension was palpable. The Astrali technology had been tested in simulations, but never at full power. Unity, you are cleared for departure, came the announcement from Geneva Control. Chen took a deep breath and addressed her crew. The Astrali reached across the stars to ask for our help. Today, we answer their call. She nodded to her chief engineer. Activate the Astrali drive. The Unity shuddered. Through the viewports, space itself seemed to fold. Stars blurred into streaks of light. Then, with a flash that temporarily blinded the external cameras, the Unity leaped forward at impossible speed. Humanity's first interstellar mission had begun. As the Unity traveled farther from Earth, communication became increasingly delayed. Daily updates from the ship captivated global audiences. Dr. Okafor continued to study the Astrali language, preparing for first contact. The engineering team monitored the alien drive system, marveling at its efficiency and power. 2 weeks into the journey, the Unity encountered its first difficulty. The drive system began to fluctuate, causing disorienting shifts in the vessel's trajectory. The system wasn't designed for a structure like ours, the chief engineer reported. We need to make adjustments. The Unity dropped out of faster-than-light travel, emerging near an uncharted star system. As the engineering team worked on repairs, the science division made a disturbing discovery. "Commander, you need to see this," called Dr. Reynolds from the sensor station. Chen joined him, staring at the readings from a nearby planet. "Are those artificial structures?" she asked, noting the geometric patterns on the planet's surface. "Yes," Reynolds confirmed grimly. "But they're abandoned. Whatever civilization built them is gone." Further scans revealed the truth. The planet had been systematically stripped of resources. Enormous excavations scarred its surface. Cities lay in ruins, showing evidence of having been methodically disassembled rather than destroyed in conflict. "The harvesters," Chen whispered. "They've already been through this system." The discovery lent new urgency to their mission. Once repairs were complete, the Unity resumed its journey, the crew now fully aware that the threat described by the Astrali was terrifyingly real. Earth received the report with growing concern. Defense systems were accelerated. Plans were drawn up for planetary evacuation shelters. The Unity project had united humanity, but it had also introduced a new fear: that the galaxy was more dangerous than anyone had imagined. After 3 weeks of travel, the Unity approached the Proxima Centauri system. Anticipation and anxiety filled the vessel as they prepared for their first encounter with an alien civilization. "Astralis signal detected," announced Dr. Okafor from the communication station. "They're acknowledging our approach." Chen felt a moment of profound emotion. After all the doubts, all the challenges, they had arrived. Humanity's response to a desperate call for help had crossed the void between stars. "Prepare for deceleration," she ordered. "All departments ready for first contact protocols." The Unity emerged from faster-than-light travel into the Proxima Centauri system, its sensors immediately scanning for the Astrali homeworld. What they found instead sent a chill through the command deck. A massive fleet of angular black vessels surrounded the fourth planet of the system. The planet itself showed signs of ongoing devastation. Fires visible even from space. Enormous mining operations tearing into its surface. Harvester ships, Reynolds confirmed, his voice tight. Dozens of them. Chen straightened in her chair. Battle stations. Shields up. The Unity had been built for rescue, not war. But humanity knew better than to venture into the unknown unarmed. Open a channel to the planet's surface, Chen ordered. Let's hope we're not too late. The encounter. Deep beneath the surface of their dying world, the remaining Astrali huddled in ancient shelter complexes. Once numbering in the billions, their population had dwindled to fewer than 5 million. Elder Saran, leader of the survivors, noticed when the long-dormant emergency communication system suddenly activated. People of Australia, this is Commander Eliza Chen of Earth Vessel Unity. We received your distress call. We are here to help. The shelter erupted with sounds Australia rarely made, expressions of shock and renewed hope. Their bodies, tall and slender with luminescent skin that reflected their emotional state, suddenly glowed brighter than they had in months. They came, Saran whispered, his four-fingered hands trembling. They actually came. In the control center, he activated the response system. Earth vessel, this is Elder Saran. We had abandoned hope. The harvesters surround us. How can you help when our own technology failed to save us? Before Chen could answer, the tactical officer shouted, Harvester vessels changing course. They're moving to intercept. Evasive maneuvers, Chen ordered. The Unity twisted in space, narrowly avoiding the first attack. Beams of energy sliced past them, close enough to make the shields flare brilliantly. Return fire, Chen commanded. Target their propulsion systems. The human vessel's weapons struck the nearest harvester ship. To everyone's surprise, the alien vessel reeled back, its systems temporarily disabled. Direct hit, reported the tactical officer with amazement. Their shields weren't prepared. They didn't expect us to fight, Dr. Okafor realized. The Astrali never resisted. The harvester ships regrouped, their attacks becoming more coordinated. They learned quickly, adjusting their tactics with each exchange. The Unity continued its evasive patterns, but it was clear they couldn't hold off the superior force indefinitely. Chen joined Okafor at the communication station. Elder Saran, we need to know where your main shelters are located. We have limited time. The response came with detailed coordinates, but the harvesters control the surface, Saran warned. You cannot reach us. Chen's expression hardened with determination. Elder Saran, humanity has been fighting wars since before we developed written language. The harvesters may be technologically advanced, but they've never faced human tactics before. She turned to her crew. Prepare the landing vessels. We're going down to the surface. The harvester commanders observed the human ship with growing confusion. Their species had consumed 12 civilizations before finding the Astrali. Each conquest had been methodical and met with minimal resistance. Most advanced races evolved beyond violence and offered no meaningful defense. But these humans fought differently. They used unpredictable patterns. They seemed to anticipate attacks. Most concerning of all, they showed no fear when facing superior forces. As smaller vessels launched from the Unity toward the planet, the harvester commanders experienced something unfamiliar: doubt. Chen led the first landing team herself. Their ship streaked through the atmosphere, using the burning forests and mountains for cover. Surface approach in 60 seconds, the pilot announced. Chen checked her weapon and looked at the determined faces of her team. Scientists and soldiers from Earth, united in purpose. The Astrali sent a desperate call across the stars, she told them. Today, we answer it. The landing vessels touched down in a concealed valley, and humanity stepped onto alien soil, ready to make their stand. The surface of the Astrali world was worse than scans had shown. Once beautiful crystal cities lay shattered. The air carried the acrid smell of chemical fires. In the distance, Chen could see the black ships of the harvesters landing more troops. "Move quickly," Chen ordered her team. "We need to reach the main shelter before they detect us." They traveled through the ruins, using fallen structures as cover. Dr. Okafor led the way, following the coordinates provided by Elder Saran. 200 meters ahead, she whispered, checking her device. There should be an entrance. They found a hidden door built into what appeared to be natural rock. It slid open as they approached, sensing their presence. Inside, thousands of Astrali waited. They were elegant beings, their skin emitting a soft glow that pulsed with their emotional state. Many reached toward the humans with trembling hands, their bioluminescence brightening with hope. Elder Saran stepped forward. Unlike the others, his skin barely glowed at all, a sign of extreme age or illness, Chen realized. "You truly came," Saran said, his voice translated through Okafor's device, across the void between stars. "We received your call," Chen replied simply. "We couldn't ignore it." Saran's large, multifaceted eyes blinked slowly. "Many of our kind thought the message futile. No other species offered help. Why would humans, whom we have never met, travel so far to save us?" Chen looked at her team, then back at Saran. "Because that's what humans do." The reunion was short-lived. Alarms sounded throughout the shelter. "Harvester forces approaching," an Astrali technician announced. "They track your landing vessels." Chen turned to her security chief. "How much time do we have?" "Minutes, at most," came the reply. Chen had expected this. "Begin evacuation procedures. Get as many Astrali to the landing ships as possible." But Saran shook his head. "There are nearly 20,000 of my people in this shelter complex alone. Your vessels cannot hold us all." "Then we make our stand here," Chen decided. She contacted the Unity, ordering it to continue engaging the harvester ships in orbit to prevent reinforcements, while she examined the shelter's layout with Saran. "Your people built this place to withstand natural disasters, not attacks," Chen observed. "We never needed defenses before," Saran said sadly. Chen studied the entrance points. "We can work with this. Do you have any technology that could be adapted for defense?" The Astrali scientists looked confused by the concept, but one stepped forward. "Our energy systems, perhaps. They could be modified." "Show me," Chen said. Within an hour, they had transformed the peaceful shelter into a fortress. Astrali energy systems were repurposed into barrier fields. Medical devices became sensors to detect harvester movements. Even their art, sculptures of flowing crystal, was positioned to channel attackers into choke points. "First harvester troops are approaching the main entrance," reported Chen's second-in-command. "All teams in position," Chen confirmed. She turned to the Astrali. "Stay back and follow our instructions. We'll protect you." The harvesters attacked with confidence, expecting little resistance as usual. They were biomechanical creatures with exoskeletons that seemed partially artificial, the result of absorbing technology from conquered species. They hit the first barrier field and recoiled in surprise. Human weapons opened fire from concealed positions. The harvesters fell back, regrouped, and attacked again with greater numbers. For hours, the battle raged. The harvesters brought in heavier weapons, attempting to breach the shelter's defenses. But at every turn, they encountered human ingenuity. When they adapted to one tactic, the defenders switched to another. When they breached one barrier, they found a new one behind it. Above the planet, the Unity continued its dance with the harvester fleet. Despite being outnumbered, the human vessels' unpredictable maneuvers and targeted strikes kept the alien ships off balance. The harvester commanders, for the first time in their long history of conquest, convened an emergency council. These humans represented something they had never encountered, a species technically inferior, but tactically superior. A species that fought not for territory or resources, but for others they had never met. On the surface, the tide began to turn. Harvester casualties mounted while their progress stalled. Chen's forces, though taking losses, held their positions with grim determination. In the heart of the shelter, Elder Saran observed the human defenders with growing wonder. They bled, they died. Yet they did not retreat. Each fought as though the Astrali were their own family. During a lull in the fighting, Saran approached Chen. "Why do your people risk so much for us? What do you gain?" Chen, bandaging a wound on her arm, considered the question. "We gain nothing tangible," she admitted. "But when we received your call, we asked ourselves a question. What kind of species do we want to be? One that turns away from suffering, or one that crosses the stars to help others?" She looked at her remaining team, humans who had volunteered for a mission with no guarantee of return. "We chose to be the helpers." The Harvester assault resumed with renewed fury. Hours stretched into days. Support from the Unity became sporadic as the vessel fought its own desperate battle in orbit. Chen knew they couldn't hold out much longer. Then, at the moment when all seemed lost, the shelter's communication system activated. It wasn't the Unity calling, but a new voice, one that spoke in the Harvester language, translated by Astrala systems. "Attention Harvester Command. This is Admiral Zhao of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your forces are surrounded. Withdraw immediately or face destruction." Chen stared at the communication panel in disbelief. "Earth Defense Fleet? That's impossible." Through the translations, they heard the confused response from the Harvester commander. "No other vessels detected. Your deception is." The message cut off as a massive explosion shook the ground. Outside, the sky lit up with weapons fire. "What's happening?" Chen demanded, accessing the external cameras. The images showed Harvester ships falling from the sky, struck by weapons they couldn't see. Their ground forces were retreating in disorder, firing at enemies that weren't there. Gradually, Chen understood. There was no Earth Defense Fleet. Not yet. But the Unity had managed to hack into Harvester communications and was projecting phantom ships on their sensors, creating the illusion of a massive human armada arriving to reinforce the Unity. The Harvesters, already unsettled by human tactics, fell for the deception. Their methodical conquest had never prepared them for psychological warfare. Within hours, their forces were in full retreat, abandoning the Astrali world rather than face what they believed was an overwhelming human force. As the last Harvester ship disappeared from the system, cheers erupted throughout the shelter. Astrali embraced humans, their skin glowing with an intensity that lit the chambers like daylight. Chen received a transmission from the Unity. "Commander, the Harvester fleet has withdrawn from the system. We're detecting similar retreats from neighboring sectors. They're abandoning their entire conquest in this region." Elder Saran approached Chen, his frail body now glowing with renewed vitality. "You have saved more than just our world," he said. "The Harvester's retreat will spare countless other civilizations. We didn't defeat them," Chen admitted. "We just convinced them the cost was too high." "That is enough," Saran replied. "You have given us time. Time to rebuild, time to prepare, time to learn." "Learn what?" Chen asked. "To defend ourselves," Saran said, with newfound determination. "The Astrali have existed for millennia in peaceful isolation. We evolved beyond violence because we never needed it. But the galaxy, it seems, is not as peaceful as we believed." He gestured to the human defenders. "You have shown us that one can be both advanced and strong. That compassion and courage can coexist. The Astrali wish to learn this balance from humanity." In the days that followed, humans and Astrali worked together to begin restoring the damaged world. The Unity's crew shared their knowledge of defense systems and tactics, while the Astrali offered insights into their advanced technology. When it came time for the Unity to return to Earth, Elder Saran presented Commander Chen with a crystal sphere containing the sum of Astrali scientific knowledge. "A gift," he explained, "to thank humanity for answering our call. This technology will advance your species by centuries, but more valuable than any technology is the lesson you have taught us, that true civilization is measured not by its achievements, but by its willingness to help others. Chen accepted the gift with humility. We came because it was right, but we gained more than we gave. The knowledge that we're not alone in the universe, that there are others who value peace and creation, that changes everything for us. As the Unity prepared for its journey home, a delegation of young Estrelli requested permission to travel to Earth as ambassadors. The first interspecies alliance was formed. In mission control on Earth, the news was greeted with jubilation. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and had done so not as conquerors, but as helpers. The Unity Project had transformed Earth itself, breaking down old barriers and fostering unprecedented cooperation. Standing on the bridge of the Unity as it prepared for the return journey, Commander Chen looked out at the stars. The galaxy was more dangerous than anyone had imagined, but it was also filled with wonders beyond comprehension. And humanity, for all its flaws and struggles, had proven itself worthy of its place among the stars. "Set course for home," she ordered. "We have much to tell them."